Maritime Made is sponsored by Invest Nova Scotia because great things are happening. Invest Nova Scotia connects your business with the right resources and opportunities. InvestNovaScotia.ca.
Poison Pear is owned and operated by Beth Ardron, who single-handedly designs, screen prints, and makes handmade clothing and accessories. Her t-shirts, scarves, baby clothes, bags, leggings, hats, and dresses are all made in small batches with her designer touch.
Poison Pear is hand screen printed, handmade clothing and accessories. I like to make clothing that's sweet with a little bit of edge and comfortable to wear. I want people to feel like they want to wear it over and over again and just wear it in their everyday life. Most of my inspiration from walks in the forest. I like kind of spooky things, a little bit nature, introvert life. I love books and reading, cats, animals, that kind of thing. So it really came out of the DIY movement. I just really wanted to create something, have it be a creative outlet. There's definitely value, like giving value to things that are made by hand and not just in a big factory somewhere or by a computer.
Each item starts in the design stage. Brand new designs need to be drafted, prototyped, and graded. This particular dress style is a fan favorite, with customers returning yearly to buy her latest print. Beth uses a stylus and tablet to draw and paint her inspirations. She calls this design Lazy Cats. Once she's satisfied with her artwork, she imports the design into a program called Adobe Illustrator. Illustrator allows her to double-check the scale as well as the pattern flow for something called yardage repeats, the screen printing technique used for these dresses. Once the design is ready, she prints the design onto transparency film using a large format inkjet printer. Photosensitive emulsion is poured into a scoop coater. A blank aluminum-framed mesh screen is prepared. A thin, even coat is applied to the screen, and any excess is put back in the container. The screen is set aside to dry for a few hours in the dark. Any light would expose the emulsion prematurely. The scoop coater is cleaned straight away. Once the screen is dry, the design is laid out. Registration marks are lined up to ensure it's straight, and it gets taped in place. Next, the screen is placed on the exposure unit. This has UV strip lights behind glass, exposing the screen quickly. Black fabric is placed over top of the screen to keep light from leaking. Foam is inserted on top, followed by a flat object and then a heavy one to ensure the design receives good contact. The darkroom timer is set for 3 minutes when the exposure unit will turn off automatically. The tape and stencil are removed. The screen needs to be washed out right away, as ambient light will keep exposing it, spraying it lightly so it sits and reveals ghost images after a few minutes. The pressure washer is used to spray both sides. Any emulsion on the design needs to go. The finished screen is wiped down and set aside to dry for 20 minutes. Blue screen tape is applied to the screen's exterior and the registration marks. Screen filler is painted on dust spots and the screen is left to dry.
I started doing shows outside of Nova Scotia in 2017, I believe. I started doing the One of a Kind show in Toronto, and that really gave me a foothold in Ontario. So now almost 50% of my sales go to Ontario and specifically Toronto. But I also have customers across Canada and in the United States and even around the world. Last year I did the Winnipeg Folk Festival, which was really great for getting a little bit of a toehold in the Western market, and I'm going back this summer, which I'm really excited about.
Plum-colored bamboo cotton spandex fabric is rolled out the length of a work table and cut. The soft, stretchy, long-lasting fabric is rolled out and cut to the length of a second work table too. The fabric is flattened. The design's repeat distance is written on the screen, 12 by 15 inches. A T-square has the distance marked on it too. This is used to place the screen in the correct position for the design. Repeats are measured and marked alphabetically on the fabric with chalk. Non-toxic water-based screen printing ink is poured in the screen, and an even layer is spread across. A, C, and E positions are screen printed first. Once these are complete, a fan is set up to help the fabric dry quickly. The same process happens with the fabric on the next table. When the first designs are dry, the T-square and screen are used to print the B and D positions. Flooding the screen and spritzing the ink with water keep it moist while waiting. B and D gaps on the second table are screen printed next. If the ink pools, it's spread with a spatula. This entire process is repeated for the empty alternate rows. After the last gap has been printed, the screen and squeegee are taken to the booth to save unused paint. Then the screen is cleaned. Now dry, the fabric from one table is placed on top of the other so their prints touch. The corners are lined up, and the dress pattern is placed on top of the fabric. Dress bodies are laid down on the fabric first, followed by sleeves, pockets, and necklines. This batch of material will make 7 dresses. The patterns are traced on the material with chalk. If there's enough unused fabric, patterns for smaller items are traced out too. In this case, hats. Pattern pieces are cut with an electric cutter. Now it's time for sewing. The thread on the cover stitch machine is changed to plum. The pocket pieces are pinned on the dress bodies and sewed on with this machine. Plum thread spools are threaded on the serger. Here, general dress construction is done. This includes sewing the shoulders, neck, and side seams, as well as attaching the sleeves and neck. The neckline is sewn down and the labels attached. The sleeves and bottom of the dress are hemmed. Hats are sewn and hemmed. The size and poison pear label are added. Finally, the ink is permanently heat set onto the fabric using a conveyor dryer. Once the hems have been steamed and pressed, these beautiful items are ready for sale.